Call these guys the dynamic duo. Flaherty and Spencer Pigot has won 5 times. He should be the points leader. Matthew Brabham has been even better. The Florida-born son of an Aussie dynasty has 3 victories and has been more consistent overall. He leads the points by the slimmest of margins, but any stumble could prove disastrous for either's hopes on the Mazda road to Indy. Who has the street smarts to prevail in the USF2000 Championship Series powered by Mazda? The series visits Baltimore, and the answer's next on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. And welcome to the streets of Baltimore. We're in the Inner Harbor area. The Baltimore Grand Prix this weekend. Coverage of the USF2000 National Championship powered by Mazda on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. IndyCar star James Hinchcliffe is alongside. Todd Lewis will have our coverage in the paddock and down on pit road. James, you've been in the race car here this weekend at this venue. It's different from what we saw here a year ago.
Different from what we saw here a year ago, and also different from what we see day to day. There's been changes constantly coming. This track's evolving a little bit, and that's going to throw a bit of a curveball for these drivers.
Very hot, very humid. It'll be a challenging afternoon for the USF2000 stars. And take a look at this layout now. About 2 miles around here, and now a chicane on the front straightaway.
Chicane on the front straightaway, adjustments to turn 5, 6, and 3 very good passing opportunities into turn 1, into turn 3, and also potentially into turn 8. So the railroad tracks you can see is on the exit at turn 13 there, and that's going to be a very big talking point, I think, during this race.
It will be a challenge for these drivers, these cars, and these race teams. Let's get it downstairs to Todd Lewis.
Because of the issues with the racetrack, the cars for the USF2000 series will line up according to points, and that means Matt Brabham will be the pole sitter. So since yesterday, we've had a change to the track. You're going to be the first one to get a look at that new chicane.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting on the first lap, I can tell you. But, yeah, no, I don't think it's going to be a big issue. I mean, we got a few laps. They're giving us a few laps to, you know, take a few runs through it and have a look at it, I guess. But, yeah, it's going to be definitely interesting on the first lap. I mean, I'm going to have to get it sorted out pretty quickly.
All right, the cars are on the racetrack. Todd talked to Matthew Brabham. The paddock here in the basement of the Civic Center, which is kind of an interesting venue. And here they are, the 2 championship contenders on the front row.
Lining up by points. It's only appropriate that these guys are going to go head-to-head into turn 1.
Matt DeLeo, Roman Lagudi, a couple of strong runners this season will be in the second row. Scott Anderson and Trent Hindman in row number 3 here as we do line up by points. Further in the field, Shelby Blackstock, Reba McIntyre's son, and Luigi Biancardi in row number 4 today. In the shadows also of the stadium where the Baltimore Ravens play, Neil Alberico, Thomas McGregor in the 5th row. These cars are very, very quick here on this race course. It's been a lot of fun to watch these guys practice and qualify this weekend.
It's been a lot of fun. It's some tight, twisty parts of this racetrack. It really lets these guys test the limits of these cars, test the agility of these cars, and I think it's fun for the fans to watch as well.
Full field of 28 cars and drivers set to do battle. This is the 11th round of the championship season. Brabham and Pigot both have opportunities to win the title. One more weekend of racing after this. What's going through your mind if you're Spencer Pigot and you've had all these wins this year?
I mean, Spencer's in a difficult spot. He's had more wins, but he hasn't quite had the consistency. A few events that have really put him down in the order. So he's definitely in attack mode. He knows how to win. He's done it many times this year. That's what he needs to do to close out this season.
14 points is the gap. James, how about our Mazda keys to the race?
Keys to the race this week here in Baltimore. Number 1, it's going to be the bumps. We've seen the railroad tracks. We've seen the surface changes. That's going to throw these drivers a bit of a curveball. They're going to have to deal with that. These surface changes is the other point there. Half this track is brand new, smooth, nicely paved. The other half is very difficult, bumpy. And then the braking, these big passing opportunities into turn 1, especially in turn 3, they're very bumpy, and so it's going to be important to get your brake points perfectly, especially when trying to make a pass.
Now, previously this weekend, there you see the chicane, the curbing that's been laid as the green flag flies here at the streets of Baltimore. That opening in the wall where the tracks are, that could be something to watch as we go along. Down the front straightaway into turn 1. Brabham and Pigot, and Brabham has the early advantage.
Right, oh, but Brabham locks up both front tires and goes wide. He misses the first corner completely.
Got another car in trouble on the inside. That's the 8 car coming to a stop. Big traffic jam. Some drivers have to take the escape road. We've got debris on the course as well. I suspect the caution will fly.
Cars injured, cars stopped. That Shelby Blackstock, I believe, was the first car there to stop. And our pole sitter, points leader, going straight in turn 1. This is great news for Spencer Pigot.
Good battle meantime. DeLeo in the green 56. Lagudi in the red 4. He's part of the Belardi team. Moves to second with an inside pass.
And that's what Pigot wants to see. The guys behind him battling, giving him a little bit of breathing room. He's already got a 10-car length lead. They're only halfway through lap 1. But is this our pole sitter trying to make up some of the ground he lost in that first corner?
Matthew Brabham trying to reel in the front group of cars. It'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the front stretch, whether they got that traffic jam cleared up or not.
Hopefully they do, and they can stay green, because Brabham needs that. He's got the cars in front of him. He's already caught up to the pack. He needs to start making those moves, be aggressive early, and try and catch back up to the number 2 car.
It shows you the difference in approaches to the season. Now, Brabham and Pigot teammates at Cape Motorsports, but Pigot really has had the better pace a lot of times this year.
And I love seeing that. I love seeing two teammates really pushing each other, really leaning on each other all season long. They get the best out of themselves, the best out of the car, and it leads to really good racing. But yeah, we can see, well, the caution's out now. You see on the bottom of your screen, the caution is out, so we're going to go behind the pace car. Obviously still a little bit of a mess here in turn 1, as we can see.
Wayne Boyd, Patrick Gallagher among the drivers collected in this incident. We've seen this often this weekend. It's been a full weekend of racing here in Baltimore. Let's take another look at the start. 4 and 5 wide, trying to jam into turn 1.
You can see Shelby Blackstock on the inside there, just maybe gets into the back of the car in front of him there, the 14. That's Scott Anderson, the Belardi car. He stalls as a result, and that's just what creates this 3-4 wide traffic jam. You see Wayne Boyd, terminal damage to the rear suspension on that car. Everybody else looks like they can continue, just obviously at the tail end of the field.
Yeah, it narrows up there in turn 1 quite a bit. Meantime, while we're under caution, a big announcement made here in Baltimore earlier this weekend.
At a media conference, the U.S. Department of Transportation joined with Mazda, Project Yellow Light, the Ad Council, and the National Organizations of Youth Safety to launch a nationwide video challenge to produce a public service announcement against distracted driving.
How far in that text are you? Because you just hit a telephone pole. That's no good. All right, back to the right, to the right, to the right. You're off the track again.
You find out that, it's a pretty big deal when a car steps out and goes out of control. So maybe step it back a little bit on the street. And just because we're driving within our limits doesn't mean we can't be driving well, and that's what we like to teach here.
Distraction is an epidemic, and this video contest, having teenagers design videos that other teenagers will actually pay attention to on distraction, is a great way to do it. It's one thing for parents like me to talk to their children. Peer-to-peer is the way to do it, and having Mazda and others involved is a great way to promote this and to show that it's not acceptable to text while you're driving, to be distracted while you're driving.
The goal of the campaign is to build greater awareness on the dangers of distracted driving. Mazda drivers are sporting anti-distraction messages on their cars and their race suits.
And when they take their driver's suit off and they get out of their Mazda race car, we expect even more of them behind the wheel of their road car. So this is an absolute opportunity for our young driver pool to go out in their community and be the heroes to help promote and bring attention to the tragedies that could result as a part of distracted driving.
And this year we're so blessed to be partnering with Mazda, NHTSA, and all of a sudden this thing is blossoming. We've got a huge footprint now, and we're able to reach teen organizations and high schools throughout the country. And due to the generosity of Mazda, we're now adding another level, which will be college students. So this thing is just going to have a huge ripple effect.
Anyone interested in entering this viral video campaign can go to projectyellowlight.com.
Worthwhile indeed as we get set to restart here on the streets of Baltimore. Spencer Pigot, Matthew DeLeo running in second spot. Green flag is back in the air, still early in the going, a lot of action deep in the field.
Let's see if we can get through turn 1 a little cleaner than we did on the start. So far, not a whole lot of side-by-side action, a little bit of tire lockup, but nothing dramatic as everyone filters through the first turn.
Matthew Brabham at 4th on the restart, so that miscue on the start when he had to go the exit road and come around the backside didn't really hurt him that much. Here he is challenging for 3rd.
It's all about damage control. That was a super smooth move. There was a great runoff there. You can, oh, look at that. He's trying to now high-low Lagudi coming down into turn 4. He is very keen. But no, there's an access road you can take through turn 1 that blends you back onto the racetrack. He kept his head, kept his cool, and with everybody stacking up behind him because of Shelby Blackstock's incident, that definitely would have helped him and slowed some guys down. down.
It was a little bit of a time penalty, but here he is on the charge for third on the inside. Brabham and the white machine takes over that position. Now, one of the tough places of this course, a little chicane here to bring you onto a straight.
I was just going to say, that's the second time we've seen him make a pass into turn 5. That's not a passing corner, Rick.
No,
this kid's on a charge, and he's doing a hell of a job.
Well, what these drivers have at stake, Piggott and Brabham, the two contenders here, the Mazda Road to Indy Scholarship. One of these drivers will get a funded ride up into Star Mazda next year, and it's worth a couple of $100,000.
There's an awful lot on the line, and both these drivers know that. But one thing I think Matthew Brabham knows, as well as Spencer Piggott, is that one DNF can really hamper your championship, aspirations. We've seen Piggott have those bad days. He really needs to make sure he keeps his calm and stays in that podium position.
Spencer Piggott, the early leader, DeLeo and Laguni, the rest of the top 3 in Baltimore. Welcome back to the streets of Baltimore. Cooper Tires presents the USF2000 National Championship, powered by Mazda. Getting down to the end of the season, a move by Matthew Brabham to take over another position on Matthew DeLeo.
It's almost like he never even went off the track on the first corner. He's just making up all the ground that he lost on that first turn, and now he's got Spencer Piggott firmly in his sights.
Matthew Brabham, very, very impressive. After a couple of early cautions slowed the pace, we are back at full cry here, and a busy weekend in the streets of Baltimore, and Brabham now starting to put a little gap. Matthew DeLeo, though, with a very good run here in third right now.
I think he's been one of the more impressive drivers in the season. He's coming in on a lot of experience compared to some of the other drivers, and he has done a tremendous job. He's been consistent, but he's been fast. This is definitely someone to watch in the future.
DeLeo in third spot right now in that green machine, the 54 car, as we watch Brabham start to pull out on him through the chicane.
And I just need to brag a little bit about Matthew DeLeo, because he was one of the Hinchtown.com Canadian Karting Awards scholarship kids a few years ago.
Taking inspiration from you, of course.
Well, I mean, hopefully.
Yeah.
He's a very good, level-headed kid, and like I said, he's definitely a driver to watch in the future. But two guys to watch right now, Scott Anderson trying to make the pass, and he pulls it off. Very well done.
Well, the Belardi cars, Anderson muscling his way to the inside, but Luigi Biancardi right there as well, trying to come right back on him.
Side by side into turn 3. It's going to be tough to pull that pass off on the outside, but maybe he can high-low him. We saw Matthew Brabham try this move earlier. Not going to have the momentum to do it.
Not mirror driving exactly, but just taking up a lot of racetrack.
Absolutely, exactly. And sometimes, Rick, that's what you need to do.
Yes, it is defending your position. One of those key. When you make a pass, that's when you want to be able to close the deal and move on. You don't want to have to worry about getting repassed.
No, you don't want to have to be fighting this thing for 3 corners. You want to get, one and done, get it over with.
12 laps on the board here in the streets of Baltimore. Coverage on the Mazda Motorsports Hour of the USF2000 National Championship, powered by Mazda. Doubleheader program for you today. We'll have the season finale from Virginia International Raceway coming up a little bit later on. Out in front, meantime, it is still Spencer Piggott widening his advantage. Matthew Brabham trying to reel him in here a little bit.
It's one of these tough situations. You look at these two guys who've just utterly dominated this championship and think to yourself, it's a crime only one of them is going to get the opportunity to move up through the Mazda Road to Indy. But at the same time, it's incredible that Mazda does this and puts this program on for these young drivers. Either way, both of these guys have proved they are ready for the next step.
3 more drivers added hard for 10th position. You've got Jason Wolf there in the 23 from J Motorsports. You've got Colin Thompson in the 11. R.C. Anderson, who's our national category points leader, right behind in the yellow machine there. Good fight down into turn 1.
This is a good little train. It's one of those situations where, whoa, I was just going to say mistakes can be costly, and here we go. We've now got a side-by-side battle back into turn 3.
Thompson goes a little wide there, and Anderson with the door opening. Spencer Piggott has been out in front meantime all the way after that turn 1 skirmish off the drop of the green. Looking very solid here.
He is, as he deals with some, very close call with some lap traffic. That was, I don't think they saw him coming there. That was a very close call, but he collected it. That was important.
Brabham, meantime, about 6 or 8 car lengths behind with that lap traffic to deal with. He dispatches the blue car there, the lap machine, one of the national class cars on the inside. What you've got to like, I think, about all this is Piggott knows he's got an uphill fight. 14 points behind coming in here. If Brabham, his teammate, runs second, he won't gain a whole lot of ground in Baltimore. Still, though, he is on the gas.
All he can do is win. That's the only thing in Spencer Piggott's mind right now is win, win, win. He's got 3 races left after this to try and get the deal done. He needs a little bit of bad luck to fall his teammates' way, but right now, Matthew Brabham is just not letting that happen.
Brabham knows what's at stake. We talked to him about it earlier in the weekend. He knows that if he can get this done between this weekend and VIR, the finale weekend of the season, he's got his future, at least for one more season, assured. That's got to be a strong comfort as we watch this battle for position. Here comes Anderson on the inside of the 14th.
Great battle here from some of the teammates. This is great side-by-side racing. Everybody behaving, everybody being clean, giving each other room. But yeah, as you were saying, for the champion of this series, whoever it may be, to have that locked up season already known at this stage of your career, to have something like that is so rare. And another one of those massive benefits of this Mazda Road to Indy Scholarship Program, that he's going to have whoever this champion is going to have a very cool, calm winter, knowing exactly what he's getting himself into for the 2013 season.
Scott Anderson, meantime, as he starts to pull away, Lagudi gets passed again there, gives up another position on the inside. Not what he wanted to have happen late in the going.
No, he had a good starting spot. Obviously, starting was based on points, but quick in practice, and it's just it's not going for him, not going the way he wants, I guess, in the race, losing a couple positions here.
That silver car, Luigi Biancardi in the 15, makes a move and picks up another position as this train starts to settle things down just a little bit. Out in front, it is still Piggott with Brabham. They run 1 and 2. Very impressive, both these young drivers. Spencer Piggott hasn't been quite as consistent as Matthew Brabham.
Yeah, and I mean, not all of it his fault. You know, he's had some things go against him that led to some finishes in the 20s, and that's certainly not what you want with the point system the way it is in the USF2000. It really does reward consistency, and that is an important lesson for these young drivers to learn. But Spencer's definitely showing people he knows how to win.
On the front stretch, Piggott battling with some lap traffic. White flag is in the air. Just one more tour around the streets of Baltimore.
And Brabham's definitely closed that gap.
Wow.
There's no doubt that the lap traffic helped that. It slowed Piggott down, through that chicane, and on the last lap now, we have ourselves a little bit of a motor race.
No question about it. Spencer Piggott in the yellow 2 car, his teammate Matthew Brabham, the other Cape Motorsport entry, that's the white 83. These two have battled it out all season from when we started back at St. Petersburg earlier in the year.
You know what, and it's been cutthroat ever since. I remember at Lucas Oil Raceway Park, the two of them touching wheels on the oval down the back straight. It was scary stuff, but right now Matthew Brabham has a lot more to lose than he does to gain, trying to make a pass on Spencer Piggott. He can sit right where he is and still be looking very comfortable in the championship.
Final time around the streets of Baltimore, and you talked about it, James Hinchcliffe, earlier. Big variance in the surfaces. You've got that new, fresh asphalt, and you've got some concrete, and then the train tracks. Very tough to navigate this place.
It certainly is, and even just watching on television, unless you're looking for it, you might not really pick it up. You can see the surface changes, the different colors, the bumps. You can see it all from outside. Just imagine what it's like from inside the cockpit of these cars.
Challenging for you and your colleagues driving these cars, but very entertaining for us as race fans. Last couple of corners to navigate. Spencer Piggott on his way to what would be his 6th victory of the season.
He's got one brake zone and then one very difficult chicane. We've seen claim cars in every single category here this weekend, but there's not the pressure's there, but it's not like he's breathing right down his neck. This should be clean and clear, and yet another victory. There we go. This should do it. Another victory for Spencer Piggott.
Piggott with his fist in the air, checkered flag wave. Spencer Piggott is your winner of the Baltimore Grand Prix, the USF2000, powered by Mazda. Championship, of course, opportunity for Piggott and for Brabham to collect the Mazda Road to Indy Scholarship. Oh, and a wreck as we come to the stripe. Look at that. The 38 of Scott Hargrove carrying only 3 wheels, one waving in the air here.
That's a very creative way to cross the line. Let's take a look at what happened here. Last lap in the chicane, coming up on a few other cars, misses it, and then contact with one of the Bilardi cars. I believe that is Scott Anderson.
Anderson had run well in the 14 car.
He was, and he completely loses his right rear tire. A lot of damage to that car.
Hargrove up and over, busts up that left rear corner of the race car. They come to the line, damage several cars, body parts flying everywhere. So a wild ending to this one. All right, Todd Lewis in victory lane with our winner, Spencer Piggott.
Spencer Piggott gets a cold drink of water after a hot afternoon. A lot of carnage early on, but got to feel good to be the winner at the end.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, all those yellow flags were killing us. I think we were pulling away quite a lot at the beginning. You know, every other lap was another full course yellow, so that was a little disappointing. I would have liked to get some clear laps, but you know, in the end, it was tough again, though, with all that lap traffic. So in the end, we got the win, and I couldn't be happier.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
So Spencer Pigot collects his 6th victory of the season for Cape Motorsport. Brabham's 2nd. Matthew DeLeo rounds out the podium.
Very impressive drive from DeLeo, and you know that Brabham's going to be kicking himself. He had the pace. He started on a pole. Just one small mistake. Though he made up most of it, he didn't make up that final crucial spot. R.C.
Anderson in 11th spot in that 10 car, one of our national category contenders. Then Thompson and Alberico, Michael Johnson, and Mark Eaton rounding out the top 15. We show you the rest of the order of finish. There's Shelby Blackstock, who started toward the front. He's been a prime points contender this year, but with that early incident, has to settle for 21st. Wayne Boyd, first car out in car number 9. Now, this is a doubleheader weekend here at Baltimore. Brabham comes back and wins the 2nd one. Spencer Pigot wrecks, ends up 23rd. That deals his championship hopes a huge blow.
A serious blow. Great comeback for Matthew Brabham. Not what Spencer wanted to see, and you can see the gap now bigger than it's been all season long in the championship.
41 points is how they will leave Baltimore separated, with Brabham very much in control. One weekend of racing to go at Virginia International Raceway. We'll have coverage of that when we continue on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Welcome back to the Mazda Motorsports Hour. Coverage of Cooper Tires presents the USF2000 National Championship powered by Mazda. Season finale weekend. We're at Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia. I'm Rick Benjamin. IndyCar star James Hinchcliffe alongside. And Derek Pernissiglio has our coverage today in the paddock and down on pit road as well. After we left Baltimore, James, a short time ago, looked as though this is going to be Matthew Brabham's championship to lose. First, though, show us around Virginia International Raceway.
This is the weekend I am super jealous I'm not a USF2000 driver, because this racetrack is gorgeous. You have this tremendous flowing racetrack. You have the S's, great challenges, the hill up into turn 14, blind, great passing opportunity, the corkscrew down. It's just one of the most thrilling racetracks in the country.
Now we've got a doubleheader's worth of action to show you. First of all, the event that leads up to the championship round on the start. A green flag away, everybody clear. Pigot, but they're 5 wide behind him.
It is certainly spread out back there, and it funnels down into turn 1 pretty tight here.
Whoa.
3 wide all the way down as we see our points leader shuffle back at the 5th position.
Matthew Brabham trying to protect that lead substantial, more than 40 points leaving Baltimore. He's really got to be careful.
The last thing that he wants is a DNF. It's not done yet, but a solid result today could actually net him the title.
Spencer Pigot taking advantage of that, running away with this one fairly quickly, and there's trouble for Scott Anderson.
Very lucky to not collect other cars as he came back onto the racetrack, but that will actually end his race day. He will have terminal damage to that car.
For 4th spot, Matthew DeLeo in the green 56, Brabham on the outside in the 83 as they head down to 1.
Again, super impressive that Matthew DeLeo is battling with the championship leader right now. He has really come on in leaps and bounds in the second half of this season.
Brabham on the outside now, trying to slice back and pick off that position. DeLeo giving him everything he wants.
This is the kind of racing you get at VIR, but big incident, big off here. Jim Lebecco backs it into the tire wall.
Lebecco eventually would get back on the course here at VIR in this first half of the doubleheader weekend, and he would have a lead lap finish. Meantime, on lap number 8, still you've got that battle between the 83 of Brabham and DeLeo.
And this is great defensive driving from Matthew DeLeo. He's pushing Matthew Brabham all the way to the outside of the road, but he's defending his line. He's not doing anything he shouldn't be doing, just good hard racing.
Now Brabham, of course, the son of David Brabham, a nephew of Jeff Brabham, a family with a lot of history. Sir Jack, the grandfather, the former world champion, as we watch the battle for second between Alberico and Boyd here. This would go on all day long as well. Brabham has his head in the right place, I think, here. Understands what's at stake.
Yeah, he knows what he's got to do, but more importantly, he knows what he can't do, and that is DNF.
Spencer Pigot knew what he needed to do in the first half of the doubleheader, win at VIR and win handily. He gets the job done to give himself a chance in the nightcap. Let's talk to our winner. Derek Pernissiglio has our coverage in Victory Lane this afternoon.
How satisfying is it to know that you dominated both practice sessions and dominated the race?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a perfect weekend so far, and, you know, to get a win like that, I think we won by, 13 seconds or something. I wish they could all be like that, but, we really hit the setup here this weekend. I feel like I'm driving well, and, yeah, we've been pretty dominant so far, but we have one more race tomorrow.
Well, Spencer Pigot drove very, very well. Leads start to finish, wins over Neil Alberico and Wayne Boyd. Brabham 4th, though, gives himself an excellent chance to clinch this title.
Absolutely. He did everything he needed to do today, kept his nose clean despite some close calls there, and he's looking very good.
Colin Thompson rounding out our first 10. Brabham's point lead now 27 over Spencer Pigot. Heading to the final round of the season. We'll have coverage of that for you in just a moment. The question is, can Brabham play defense and close the deal, or can Pigot steal the title? We'll find out when we continue here on the Mazda Motorsports Hour.
Jeff always gets it.
Welcome back on the Mazda Motorsports Hour. We're at Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia. Coverage of the USF2000 National Championship powered by Mazda. Spencer Pigot, Trent Hindman will make up row number 1 here. James Hinchcliffe, all of this based on fast laps during the earlier race this weekend.
Exactly right. Race 1 on a weekend, fastest lap determines your starting position for race 2. All the more, he puts all the more emphasis on having a good finish, not crashing, and being able to lay down a fast lap so you don't have to start from the back.
Matthew Brabham has to start 7th today. He's got the points lead. He's got to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. He knows what he has to do, and again, the biggest thing is to stay out of trouble. His arch rival is going to be starting on pole, but he does not need to win this race to win the championship.
Show you the final several rows in the lineup here today at VIR as the field rolls down the final hill. It's a right-hander onto the front straightaway, very fast part of this racetrack, and Spencer Pigot knows he's got to win. He's got to hope Matthew Brabham has problems.
That's a nice tight formation at the start there. I like that. Look at Pigot basically getting a push there on the start. He's going to get the jump and hopefully a clean run into turn 1. He's got the inside line. He's going to stay there and defend. Everything clean so far.
It is Pigot out in front on board with Shelby Blackstock. Nearly runs out of road, is able to stay on the course.
It is sometimes so difficult exiting that corner if you're on the outside to not get pushed wide. The driver on the inside not knowing exactly where you are, how much room to give you. Very commonplace to see guys dropping wheels, but so far, so good through the first couple of corners here at VIR.
Pigot into the S's, heading toward the backstretch here at Virginia International Raceway. Lots of action, lots of speed. These USF2000 National Championship machines, the Mazda motors providing plenty of horsepower. It's a fast one as we come up the hill the first time.
This is one of the coolest sections of racetrack that they go to all year long. Up through these S's, flat out, left, right. Just a great series of corners. You sort of lose a pit of your stomach a little bit at the top there, and then blind into this next right-hander. Very quick, falls downhill.
The elevation changes make it so much more entertaining. This is one of those natural terrain road courses. Street circuits are lots of fun. Oh, in trouble. Joel Janko in the 25 off behind, and he's stuck in the mud over there. It's pretty damp. We're racing early in the morning here at Virginia International Raceway, and Janko kind of hung up on the berm there and in the mud. This allows Spencer Pigot, though, to scoot away and build a nice lead early.
Yeah, that car is beached. It'll be interesting to see if they can remove that or if we're going to have to go full course caution. Again, this is not, and there we go. Just going to say this is not what Spencer Pigot wants to see. Once again, a great start and a great early lead evaporated by a yellow flag.
So Janko kind of hung up, kind of high-sided there right off the racetrack. Dalton Kellett spins as well, and he's in some trouble. So a couple of cars with difficulty, another car off. That will bring out a full course yellow, and that's R.C. Anderson, who goes into this event as the points leader in the national category.
That's definitely going to hurt his championship aspirations. That's not what he needed to see.
No question about it. Wayne Boyd in the 9 doing a nice job this weekend. No doubt about that, behind early leader Spencer Pigot. And Eric Cruz is off, another one of our national category contenders in the 86.
All sorts of mayhem on lap 1 here.
Well, these race cars are extremely durable, as, of course, on the Mazda motors, our Mazda Momentum today. Derek Bernasiglio talking with one of the leading teams in the series about wear and tear on these race cars.
We want to talk about how much durability in races you've got out of some of the Mazda components on your cars.
Okay, well, we have 3 engines. We have engine number 1, which was built by Steve Napoli engine. We have engine number 5 in here and engine number 15. We've got 10,000 miles in engine number 1. We've got 9,642 miles in engine number 5. And we've got 7,200 in engine number 15. Every year we send them back to Steve at Elite Engines. We've never had a problem. On the graphs, everything overlays over each other. And basically we just change the oils, change the spark plugs, and put gas in it. The main person in this championship is for drivers to progress and to learn. So when you take the engine out of the equation, it's the best thing you could ever have. You're looking at all the other championships, people complain about horsepower, he's got a bit more than that. All you're doing here is tuning the car and getting the driver up the grid. That's it.
And Nicholas there really emphasizes the most important part of this championship, which is driver development. It's not about the car, it's not about the engine. So Mazda have given these guys fast, reliable, consistent motors, and it just really puts the right emphasis on the right element of this series.
Green flag is back in the air for a restart as we begin lap number 4. Leaders okay down into turn 1. It's still Piggott out in front. Second spot belongs to Boyd. Matthew Brabham in 4th in that white 83 car. All he's got to do is be careful and kind of protect his rear flow. Trouble. Another car around. That's the 48 of Patrick Lynn. Able to get it pointed in the right direction. Man, it's still slick out here.
Obviously, this early morning, the track's still a little greasy, a little dewy, a little cold. And on a restart, when the tires are cold, it's going to be catching these guys off a little bit.
Running order, top of your screen. Of course, a couple of championships in play. The national title also out there, and Lynn, one of the contenders in that category. Leaders, meantime, coming up the hill, heading toward the oak tree.
He was kind of doing the Austin Powers 14-point turn there. Didn't want to get his tires dirty, I guess, but he'll eventually get it pointed in the right direction.
You got to be mindful of that, of course, and it is wet here this morning, so if you do put a wheel off, you run the risk of getting stuck.
Exactly right. He knew he had the time. This is a long lap here at Virginia National Raceway, so he had the time to get back around. So back to the championship watch. Matthew Brabham running 8th. This is not where he wants to be running, but at this point, that is enough to clinch the championship, even with Spencer Piggott running in the lead.
Talked to him this morning. He was well aware of where he had to finish. 14th or better, enough to get the job done. Certainly wants to run well, but winning is not his primary agenda.
Winning is not, finishing is. But there's a couple other guys that are going for wins. The battle for 4th right now, Trent Heidemann, Neil Alberico, they are going tooth and nail into this downhill section to finish off the lap. Again, I said this road course just gives you the opportunity for great wheel-to-wheel racing. I absolutely love it.
Beautiful part of the country. Great improvements made here the last couple of times we've been to Virginia International Raceway over the many seasons. You can tell that the folks here really want to improve this course, continue to improve it. It's a prime test facility for a lot of teams. NASCAR teams use it now. Really a great racetrack.
It is. The course itself is phenomenal. Some of the facilities around can be upgraded, I guess, but as a driver, selfishly, we love coming here because it's just so much fun. I wonder if Michael Andretti would let me take my IndyCar for a spin around here.
It would be cool. If you get to test here, call me because I'm coming up to watch. I bet an IndyCar would fly around.
It would be something spectacular. It's spectacular looking and spectacular feeling. I've driven a Formula 4 2000 around this racetrack. I have raced here in these cars, and it is such a thrill. So these drivers are having the time of their life. I guarantee it. You know, anytime you're driving a race car, you're happy, but when you get to do it somewhere like this, it's all the better.
The 3 of Trent Heidemann trying to do a nice job. Look, anybody in this group of cars behind the leader, Wayne Boyd in 2nd spot right now, if you can get up and challenge Spencer Piggott, maybe steal a win in the final race of the season, gives you a lot of momentum heading into the winter and the offseason.
A lot of confidence heading into the offseason, and that's a very big point.
As these teams, many of these young drivers also thinking about 2013 and where they will slot in as they try to win the championship next year. Back at Virginia International Raceway, coverage of Cooper Tires presents the USF2000 National Championship, powered by Mazda. Alongside James Hinchcliffe, I'm Rick Benjamin, Derek Fernasiglio down on pit road for us today. Not much change at the top of the charts here. We put 10 laps on the board at VIR on this, what was a sunny Sunday morning for racing. And Spencer Piggott kind of waving goodbye to the field at this point.
Not much has changed in the order, but one thing that has changed is this sort of 3rd through 10th train has spread out a little bit, and our championship leader, Matthew Brabham, was running right in the middle of that. And right before we went to break, those cars were all nose box to gearbox, and I know that he's a little bit nervous whenever you're running in that close quarters. He knows he can finish 8th to win this championship, but when you're running wheel-to-wheel with guys like that, the potential for something to go wrong is much higher. So this is a much more comfortable situation for Matthew Brabham.
Matthew DeLeo in 7th, Matthew Brabham right behind him in 8th there, and all Brabham has to do is hold station the rest of the way home, and he will win that scholarship. More than $300,000 worth of funding to help him go racing in the Star Mazda. Oh, in trouble for Luigi Biancardi. In the 15 car, he was 11th, young driver with a lot of potential, goes off, whacks the Armco. We stay green for now.
Yeah, you can see there was contact with the wall there. That's good damage to the front end of that car. His day will be done, but action on track continues. Luckily, we avoided caution. We can see these guys carry on, and yeah, Brabham and DeLeo, we saw these guys going at it all day long yesterday as well, and it took almost the entire race for the championship leader to get by Matthew DeLeo.
Matthew DeLeo, very impressive to me. In the second half of the season, he's picked it up quite a bit. One of the young drivers we'll be talking about, I'm sure, next season.
No doubt. I mean, I think we were just talking about momentum into the offseason, confidence into the offseason. With the way his season is ending, there's no way he's going into the winter with anything but just brimming with confidence, and hopefully that puts him in good stead for next year.
Battling here for 9th position. What about the drive turned in by Scott Anderson in the Velarde 14 car? He has come from the back of the grid to make it to the top 10.
Yes, he's just gotten around
Thomas McGregor in the 7.
McGregor, yes, exactly. The Andretti Autosport driver. Yeah, started shotgun on the field, and he has worked his way all the way up. That's an impressive drive. He is making some moves.
Anderson's been quick. At Baltimore, he was strong as well. Matthew DeLeo and Brabham directly in front of him. But in this field, you're starting 26. In 8 or 9 laps time, you get yourself to the top 10. That is impressive.
It is very impressive. He did have a win earlier in the year in Road America, I believe, to ride on board with Shelby Blackstock, the other Andretti Autosport driver. Going through here, let's watch the road fall away. The TV, I got to tell you, it does not do it justice. The amount of elevation back up here as they head into Oak Tree. Man, you're going to get tired of me saying how jealous I am of these drivers right now. This track is just awesome.
Shelby Blackstock running in the top 10 as well, right in this mix, right in this group of drivers. And we're watching Matthew Brabham in the 83, the Cape Motorsport entry with Wayne Taylor Racing. Try to hold on to a good finishing position here. Doesn't have to improve. He just has to keep the nose of that car clean the rest of the way home.
And it'd be interesting to get inside his head right now. He's under a little bit of pressure from Scott Anderson, who's, as we were just talking about, is absolutely on a charge. Might be safer to just let that one go, but it's tough. As a racing driver, you want to push, you want to be at the absolute max all the time, but he knows he just cannot afford a mistake, especially with Spencer Pigot running up front.
Matthew Brabham, of course, David's son, Sir Jack's grandson, trying to learn here, trying to win this championship and advance his career. Pigot trying to do the very same thing in the other Cape Motorsports entry, the 2-car. Team Pelfrey, one of his backers as well. Pigot showing everybody how capable he is by winning a lot of these races. And James, you ran through these formulas. You went to Star Mazda. You made it up to Indy Lights and then IndyCar. Do you want to win a lot, or do you want to win a championship?
You know what? In this case, because of what Mazda are doing with the Road to Indy program, the champion getting that scholarship, you got to say the championship. But at the same time, I don't think anybody could doubt, even if at the end of the day we crown Matthew Brabham as the champion, I don't know if anyone can doubt that over the season, over a lap and over a race distance, this is not the quickest driver in the field. And that certainly goes a long way with these teams in the Star Mazda Championship. We're looking at guys to bring up, maybe to offer some tests to. Spencer Pigot is absolutely the top of that list.
Matthew DeLeo's strong run comes a cropper late in the going. He was 7th. He goes off at one of the downhill corners through the second set of S's at VIR, and we've got some wing damage meantime on the 54 car running up in contention as well. That is the car of Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson from JDC Motorsports, one of the great stories of the season. Paraplegic, able to run with hand controls. He's able to be on pace, even though that wing is kind of flapping in the breeze.
It's unbelievable. Yeah, he's doing a great job. I wonder if that had anything to do with DeLeo's off. I don't think they were running close together,
No.
so those two probably aren't connected. But either way, a great drive for him with a damaged race car.
Spencer Pigot, meantime, not putting a wheel wrong here at Virginia International Raceway. He's been quick all weekend, trying to double up, win the last 2 races of the season. You want a driver as a team owner who can win races. You certainly want a driver who can contest championships as well. Both Pigot and Brabham have shown they're very capable of doing this. White flag in the air this time for Spencer Pigot.
And the tough thing for Pigot is it's not that there's been a lot of mistakes for him. You know, that he's had only 2 races where he sort of had bad finishes, and not necessarily always his fault. So it's a very difficult situation because he did obviously win more races than anybody this season. He's been faster than anybody all year long, but with 1 lap to go, it does not look like he's going to walk away as the champion.
These drivers, many of them, will be appearing at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the month of October. Coming up, they've got a Mazda Road to Indy test. The drivers who aspire to go to Star Mazda and Indy Lights will get those opportunities to be in those cars at an official test. There's a winter series of racing coming up after the start of the new year for the USF2000 teams, powered by Mazda as well. That'll take place in Florida. Some of these teams and drivers will get a leg up on the official season's worth of competition, which will start in March, we presume, probably at Sebring next year.
Absolutely, and it's, you know, we see Team Pelfrey on the side of this Cape Motorsports car for Spencer Pigot. They obviously do have a team in the Star Mazda Championship, a very successful team in the Star Mazda Championship. So a pretty obvious stepping stone there, and hopefully that opportunity comes around for Spencer.
Meantime, R.C. Anderson's bid to win the championship in the national category could have gone by the boards here. He had trouble early. Enrique Furseth in the other Cape Motorsports car, the 32, on pace to have a good finish here today, and he might be able to steal the title.
And that would be a great result for him. Young driver, we've seen a lot of potential out of him. He's had a very consistent year, and this is potentially a great result for him to walk away with this championship.
Enrique may well claim that title, and that would put Cape Motorsports at the top in both the national and the championship categories here.
They have dominated this series for a number of years, going all the way back to the early 2000s and even before. It's a championship caliber team through and through, and they're really going to prove it here in 2012.
We take a look at the 3 car as Spencer Pigot heads to the checkered flag. He will double up at Virginia International Raceway, but his teammate Matthew Brabham, it appears, will have more than enough in terms of a good finish to claim the season championship. And the Cooper Tires presents the USF2000 National Championship powered by Mazda. Team celebrating a Pigot victory and a Brabham championship. We'll talk to our winners next. Back at Virginia International Raceway, a big day for Cape Motorsports. Wayne Taylor racing here in the USF2000 National Championship powered by Mazda. Spencer Pigot doubles up, and his teammate Matthew Brabham finishes 8th, which is more than enough to earn the championship. Let's get it to victory lane. Derek Pertisiglio to talk to our winners.
You just pulled away from the rest of the field. What is it about this track that makes you go so fast?
I don't know. This track here at VIR has always been good to me. I've won actually every time I've been here, so you know, hopefully we'll be coming back here a lot in the future of my career because I love the track. The Capes gave me a great car, and yeah, I mean, it was a great day, get the win, and I couldn't be more pleased with that.
8 wins this year, come up just a little bit short in the championship, but are you still satisfied with the performance this year?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, we've won over half the races, and if a couple things had gone our way a little bit more, we'd be the champions. But you know, overall, I got to thank Team Pelfrey, Market, Emerging Technologies, all my sponsors for getting me here, the support from Mazda and Cooper Tires, and it's a great series, and I've had a lot of fun.
He may have won the battle, but he lost the war, unfortunately. But still, a stellar drive all weekend and all season long from Spencer Pigot.
Pigot, your winner of today's event. Boyd and Heineman, the rest of the top 3. Hargrove and Alberico. There's Shelby Blackstock in 7th in front of our season champion, Matthew Brabham. Michael Johnson with a nice run to 11th. And we certainly want to mention Enrique Furseth in 14th spot. That is enough to give him the national category championship. And Cooper Tires presents the USF2000 National Championship powered by Mazda. So Spencer Pigot and his podium mates celebrate the outcome of this race. Meantime, the season champion celebrating his opportunity to take another step on the Mazda road to Indy. Here's Derek Pertisiglio.
He is this year's USF2000 champion, and as John Doonan from Mazda came over and said, congratulations, you're moving on to the next step.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, you know, it's a little bit disappointing this weekend to try and just like not be up the front like I'm always am, but oh my God, it's just, yeah, I'm just stoked to get the championship. Yeah, I'm just speechless, I guess. It hasn't sunk in yet, but I'm sure it will.
Did you start to get worried as Spencer was pulling away from the rest of the pack, and you were running back in 8th, 7th spot?
Not really. I was kind of just like trying to find a gap and just finish the race. I mean, it was pretty hectic in the first race. I was dodging a few crashes there, so I just, you know, got a good finish in the first race, so it was kind of easy to just cruise around and get in the top 14 in this race and just bank the championship. I mean, I was just out there to win the championship. I wasn't racing anybody. I was doing my own thing and racing my own race, so it turned out good. And
you now take the next step in Mazda's road to Indy. From here, it's on to the Star Mazda Series. How exciting is it to know that you're taking the next move up the ladder?
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, at the start of the year, I didn't really see it like that. Like, I kind of just had an open mind, and as soon as I started running up front, I thought, you know, I got like a really good chance to win the championship here. And I've been watching Star Mazda all year, and it looks like lots of fun, so I can't wait to get one of those things. It'd be awesome, so.
Well, Rick, on the strength of 4 wins, Matthew Brabham is this year's champion.
Impressive season for Matthew Brabham, and there is something to the notion, I think, of a driver's pedigree. Family history means a lot.
Oh, yeah, that family certainly has the pedigree. I mean, he did a great job all season long. Certainly has some mentors in the family that could have talked him through it, so terrific effort.
Brabham wins the title by 7 points over Spencer Pigot. Scott Anderson third in the championship. DeLeo and Heinemann the rest of the top 5. It's been an exciting season for Cooper Tires presents the USF2000 National Championship powered by Mazda. A season that began on the runways of Sebring and closed out at the beautiful road course at Virginia International Raceway, and a season full of tests for these young drivers.
It's been a season of ups, a season of down, but I think every driver out there learned a lot as they all try and climb the Mazda Road to Indy.
Matthew Brabham gets the funded ride from the Mazda Road to Indy Scholarship Program. We'll see if Spencer Pigot and others accompany him up to Star Mazda. Many of these young drivers will be back to try to win the championship next year. We look forward to bringing you the coverage. For James Hinchcliffe, Derek Bertisiglio, I'm Rick Benjamin. Congratulating your champion, Matthew Brabham. We'll see you next time.